I've got the best job in the world, in the best city region in the world, and I'm just so grateful to all of those people who went out and put their trust in me. It means a lot. It's quite humbling, actually, Sophie, to be honest. It's a brilliant result. I'm so grateful to everybody. And we are on with something here. You know, we are actually levelling up this country. We are building the new Greater Manchester. And from here, we are going to do some radical changes to our transport system. The Greater Manchester Public have given me a big mandate to bring our buses back under public control for the first time in 35 years, and I'll be getting on with that job come Monday morning.
Getting on with the job on the buses, best job in the world, but you'll forgive me for labouring the point a little bit. Can you rule out running for the leadership of the Labour Party?
I've been elected as Mayor of Greater Manchester. As I say, that is where my focus is. I left Westminster politics. I'm not an MP. You have to be an MP to stand for the leader of the Labour Party, and I'm not aware that the rules have changed. So no, my focus is here, Sophie, and you know, in the distant future, you know, if the party were ever to kind of feel that it needed me, well, you know, I'm here, and they should get in touch. But no, I'm here, and I want to support Labour nationally by saying, look at what's happening here. Where there is devolution, where there is strong, authentic, connected representation, people are buying into it, and the council results here reflect that. So the Labour Party's been lukewarm about devolution up to this point, and it needs to change very significantly and get right behind it and rebuild from the bottom up, and that will be my advice to the leader, but also to the whole of the party.
If in the distant future Labour needs you, they should get in touch. Sounds a little bit like you're leaving the door slightly ajar.
Well, I say I have tried twice to be the leader, and it's never worked. So I'm not under any illusions, if you like, that it's never worked for me in the past. I feel I'm in the best job in the world, and we've got a massive job ahead of us. But I'm here to help the Labour Party if they need it. But they need to change. Let's be really clear about this. You know, it can't be just sort of cosmetic changes that come out of this. There has to be substantial change in the way the Labour Party is working. They have lost an emotional connection with parts of the country that is going to take a lot of work to get back. So I think the party has to do a lot of soul-searching about these results and understand why we've done well in places like Wales, places like Greater Manchester, and it really needs to then buy into English devolution and build from the bottom up. That's what these results are telling them.
I'm really interested in your diagnosis for Labour going forward, because there have been these spotlights of light for Labour. You, of course, winning in the first round, increasing your vote share in Greater Manchester. In Wales, as you mentioned too, Labour managing to get that effective working majority, really, in the Welsh Parliament, and yet doing so devastatingly badly in other areas of England. What do you think Labour needs to do now to change?
Well, I think if you look at those results and you try and understand them, the pattern is where there is devolution, a strong, locally driven operation, people are buying into it more. So here, Liverpool City region, you've just heard from west of England, where they're buying into it now and have elected a Labour mayor. Wales, there was a reward for the Labour Party there. Where they haven't got it in the same way in parts of the North East, well, there's a greater sense of alienation there from the party. So that's the lesson, I would say. You know, there is no route to a general election victory that is not done through building from the ground upwards, winning back the trust of people that's been lost, and changing fundamentally the way we go about things. I've said it many times, Labour is too London-centric, and it's still the case. And I don't know how many times I have to say it to them until they change, but now they must change.
It's interesting you're saying there about the London-centricness of the Labour Party. It was quite a similar diagnosis from Khalid Mahmood, who said a London-based bourgeoisie with the support of brigades of woke social media warriors has effectively captured the party. Do you agree with that assessment?
I'm not sure I'd quite put it in those terms, but it's why I left. You know, in the end, I just didn't feel as though it was my world and that I could do what I wanted to do. I never felt I could be truly myself in Westminster politics. But I think people do see the real me in this job, and I feel invigorated by it. I'm passionate about it. You know, who wouldn't be? Being the mayor of a city region like the place that I'm talking to you from now, it's an amazing place, you know, with just brilliant people. It's got so much potential. It's been held back, actually, by Westminster, and that angers me. I feel it's Westminster that's caused the north-south divide, and it annoys me that we always have a debate about politics in this country.
When you say Westminster,
with Westminster as only showing town. Well, actually, it's actually the problem. It's the problem.
When you say Westminster, do you include Labour in that diagnosis?
Yeah, the whole of it, yeah, the way the whole thing works. And of course I do. It just doesn't work for people in the way that a more devolved approach really does work and connects with people. And you can see that in these results. So, yeah, I believe we are building something really important. And I think, Sophie, to be honest with you, this is one of the most significant elections in British social history. Certainly in the post-war period, because the public are saying they want more devolution. They do not want the old way of doing politics, all conducted through Westminster. They are calling for something very different, and we are doing something very different here in Greater Manchester. We involve people from a range of communities in the policies that we make. It's just a better way of doing things. And I think the results of this election are saying that loud and clear to every one of the Westminster parties. You may remember last year when I had a little disagreement with the Prime Minister. Well, I stood up for the people here. And this is the point. We've had devolution so far that's been a bit sort of baby steps. And, you know, the first time where there was a disagreement, Westminster, when I answered back to them, said, oh, well, we're not having any more devolution. I think the public are saying, that's wrong. We want more of it. And this is something that I think now the Prime Minister is going to have to take on board. And he's going to have to define what levelling up is. We're going to get on with building a new public transport system here from Monday. And here's my test to the Prime Minister. Catching a bus in Harperhay here in Greater Manchester should cost the same as it does in Haringey in London. But currently it's £1.55 in Haringey. It's over £4 here. And until we have fairness in terms of the cost of public transport, this country won't be levelled up. It simply cannot be right that the poorest parts of this country have the most expensive public transport.
Just finally, while I've got you, you're talking about the London-centricness of Westminster. You're talking about these results being a wake-up call, saying that Labour needs to change. Hand on heart, do you think Keir Starmer gets it?
Yes, I do. I actually do. He was here last week and we had an honest conversation about all of these things. Change is needed, and I do think he understands that. To be fair to Keir, of all of the 5 leaders that I've worked under, he has done more to respect local government and also to call for devolution, but it needs to become real now. We need to see proper change, not cosmetic change, and we need to see Labour really coming out and putting forward a very ambitious programme. Because I think the Conservatives have been rewarded in the Tees Valley. There's no getting away from it. Good devolution, used properly, gets better results for the party in local elections and in the parliamentary election in Hartlepool. So that's the big lesson. You know, from my point of view, I often feel invisible to the Labour Party at times. You talk about them, we were talking about them ringing me up before. I get no vote in the election of a leader as a mayor. I get no platform at Labour conference. I've got no rights within the standing orders of the party because they haven't taken it seriously. And this is a big wake-up call for them, and they need to hear it. OK. Andy Burnham, thank you very much for coming on the programme. I have to say, I'm not sure you totally shut down those questions about leadership. Good to talk as always.